Let's see. Okay. Recording has begun. Okay. Okay. All right then. So since everybody is here, or since most of us are here, we'll proceed to begin with our webinar for today. So once again, thank you all for taking out the time to join us today. Today, the webinar is going to be about scholarship experience of our guest here and the application process, how it's been, your different experiences, because we want people to know how each individual of you are able to go through the process of applying for scholarship from Nigeria and what your various experiences have been. So it's going to be in a discussion format where I'll be asking each of you questions and we'll go around and responding to those questions. Before we get into that, I would like for Dr. Chutiami Mohammed to open up this webinar and give us an introduction of Gamzi and the activities. So, Dr. Chutiami, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. You're highly welcome to this great webinar on scholarship or educational opportunities, whereby you about successful Nigerian women, which we are very proud of, the journeys they have been into, as well as tips they will give to guide each and everyone that is attending this webinar or will watch the video later. I'm Dr. Muhammad Chutiami. I am originally from Yobe State, currently lecturing in a university in Australia. And as you all know, this webinar is brought to you by Gamji Educational and Mentorship Forum. I believe many of us are aware of Gamji and Gamji activities, but for the sake of those that are joining us for the first time, Gamji Educational and Mentorship Forum was formed by a group of us, Nigerian people who are studying in diaspora, that we come together and thought, what can we do? No, it is to make a difference to our communities back in Nigeria. And the fact that all of us have undergone similar process to attain our educational goals and establish our careers. That's the reason why we decided to form GAMGI, so that we will use our experiences, the difficulties and the success that we have recorded to guide others so that people don't need to struggle as much as we did. And since the time we started GAMGI, it's been a couple of years now, and there is so much success. A lot of people were successful in their applications, and so on and so forth. And for today, we decided to particularly bring this topic about women's stories and guide to successful application, because it is obvious many of the times the applicants tend to be male, and it's great to show to people that women are equally in the game now. It's not like before, whereby we think only males do applications for scholarship and educational opportunities. So thank you so much for coming to our panel members. Also our special guest, which will be introduced by Husseina in a minute, and all the participants that are here today or will watch this recording today. You are highly welcome to this interactive program, and we hope to see you. Keep in touch with us even after this program. Without wasting much time, I would like to hand over to Husseina to briefly discuss all our participants, and we begin with the program. Thank you so much. Over to you, Husseina.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Dr. Chutiami. It was very well received. So I will go back to the list and check if our special guest has joined us. Because it's quite a number of you all, and thank you for joining. So, as we can see, our special guest is yet to join us. So, I will proceed with going over to the discussants. So, the way we're going to have this session today is that we have 6 discussants, mashallah, and each of them have various experiences applying for scholarships in different countries. And then I will ask them questions so they can share their personal experiences so that you all, our audience, can grasp the different processes that this individual went through so that it could give you more better perspective on what to expect, what, depending on the country, the process, and each individual journey. So I hope that this session and webinar is very, very beneficial to all of you, and you can be able to pick 1 or 2 things from this session. So I've just been notified that the special guest, Dr. Mariam, she's trying to join. So I will first start and then ask questions, the first round of questions, and then the second question. Then when she joins, we will move over to her and then ask her the questions that we have for her. So I hope everyone is ready to start discussing. So without further ado, I will start with the first question. So when I mention your name, you can start by introducing yourself and your current affiliation, where you're currently studying and what you're currently doing, and also where you did maybe your bachelor's and your program. If you have done masters as well, you can introduce that. So instead of me like going through your bio, it would be nice that people put a name to the face that's giving the introduction directly, and then you can proceed with responding to the question. So I will start randomly, and on my screen I can see Ms. Kulthum Lawal, so I will start with her. So welcome once again, and I would like to ask you to introduce yourself to the audience and let us know what your motivation is for seeking scholarship opportunities.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on the time that you're watching this. My name is Kulthum Lawal. I was a student of Bayero University, Kano. I graduated from Bayero University, Kano in 2021, where I got my bachelor's in petroleum engineering. Then I proceeded for a master's program at King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals in the year 2022, where I got my MSc in petroleum engineering. And then currently right now, I have secured a graduate assistantship for a PhD program at Texas A&M University in the United States for my PhD. Thank you. For my PhD in petroleum engineering. So yeah, it has been quite a journey. And for the question regarding like what my motivation is for seeking opportunities is, I realize that there are a lot of good women around where I am, and because I am originally a Hausa person from Kano State, like really from Kano State, and I have met a lot of brilliant women around me, even people that are even better than me, that they are not able to fully utilize what they have. So me coming from a family that is not as strict as those other families, I decided why not use the opportunity of not coming from a very strict family for me to go out and seek for opportunities. Also, the world has changed. Women can no longer just sit at home and just be like, okay, I'm just going to wait for everything to be done for me. Even the men are struggling. So even the women that are staying at home, they have to be selling things, they have to be engaging in businesses and stuff. So why not use what I know I am good at, that is book, for me to get what I want? And also there are chances for me for self-development. I love to develop myself. I love to see myself going to a higher rank. I love to see myself doing things that I will dare myself. Even right now, like moving to the US is a very daring step for me, considering where I came from, but still I am going for it. Like, that is one of the things that motivate me. Okay, if I do this, I know I will be able to motivate other women from where I am from for them to utilize opportunities like this.
I see. Thank you very much for that detailed response. It really, I'm sure it resonated a lot of people, and especially from the North, where most of this type of opportunities are not usually, what do you call it? Like, women are not usually the ones applying first. It's very much like you just expect the guys to be going for the scholarship. So thank you for the detail. And also, when I come back to you later, I would really like you to talk a lot about your decision to go into petroleum engineering, because that's a field that not a lot of women go into. So thank you for that. So the next speaker I would like to ask the question of her motivation is Mrs. Khadija Ibrahim. Yes.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Khadija Ibrahim Sulaiman, and let's say 2 months before now, I was a lecturer in Nile University of Nigeria in the Department of Petroleum and Gas Engineering. And I was able to secure a PhD program in Germany. So I had to move to Germany to start my PhD. And I would say, for the benefit of the question which you asked, my motivation, right from time, I would definitely say it has always been my father. My late father has been one of my bedrock when it comes to education. He was very much an advocate of education. It sometimes was like, oh, you don't have to go into the kitchen, because normally, like, you know, in the northern setting is we have this you know, ideology that the girl is supposed to go to the kitchen, is supposed to be with her mother, and so on and so forth. So that drive has always been, should I say, the motivation that has pushed me towards where I am currently. So right from my secondary school, thankfully with hard work, of course, and then would definitely say is destiny, I was able to secure a scholarship right from secondary school. And then my bachelor degrees, which I studied in Nile University of Nigeria, also was a scholarship. And then fast forward to like me doing my master's, it was also on scholarship, because as at the time when I finished my youth service, I was eligible to apply for PTDF, which is the Petroleum Trust Development Fund, and I was able to secure a master's degree in petroleum production engineering in the UK. So that itself was also a motivating factor, because given that opportunity opened doors for more opportunities, and then I could see that there was no limit as to what you can do if you put your mind into it. So for me, it has always been a push from, you know, people around me, and thankfully, like, it's been going well. And thank you for inviting me.
I see. Thank you very much for that detailed response on what the motivation is. And it's really good to hear that your dad is the one that's been encouraging and pushing you. And it's interesting to learn that you and Mrs. Kulthum have a similar major in petroleum. Yeah, that is good to learn. So up next, I will go to Mrs. Toyiba Ajibola to give us her own motivation for applying to scholarship. And before I move on, I want to confirm, like, Khadija, you're currently in what country? Like, where are you currently in?
I'm in Germany, Berlin.
Okay, so you're currently in Germany.
Yeah.
And for Kulthum, are you currently in Texas, or you're yet to go there?
Oh, I'm currently in Saudi Arabia, but I will be moving to Texas in the beginning of the month, the next month.
Oh, I see. Okay, that is good to know. Thank you very much. So Toiva, the floor is yours. What's your motivation for applying to scholarship?
Hello, everyone. Good evening from South Korea. It's dinner time right now, and it's very interesting to see that some people are already in the morning or in the previous day or in the afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. I'm very excited for this session. And before I tell you guys about my motivation for studying in South Korea, I'd like to introduce myself briefly. My name is Toyiba Ajibola Mustafa, as my friend Usena has introduced me, and I'm currently a PhD student of mathematics at Kyungpook National University in South Korea, where I also backed my master's degree from 2020 until 2022. I graduated from the Department of Mathematics at the University of Ilorin in 2019. And after my service year, I moved here, and I've been here 4 years after, and I can say that I have no regret. So my motivation, the primary motivation for me was always about advancing my studies. I'm always hungry for more mathematics. And for all of us that actually studied undergraduate in Nigeria, we know the state of education in Nigeria right now. In my department then, we were using textbooks from 1980 something, and it was not enough for me. I was always looking for what else is there, you know. And my coming to Korea is quite an interesting story because I didn't even have it in my mind. I was not the one pursuing opportunities. My now professor and PI was the one who messaged me on LinkedIn and asked if I would be willing to come to South Korea to study. And I was like, what's in South Korea? And imagine my surprise after my research that, oh, it's one of the leading countries in mathematics. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm really going. And I always say that another motivation for me is money. Anywhere you are going to pay me money, just know that I will go there. So when I talked to my professor about, oh, how much he's going to be paying me a stipend, I was like, you mean I'm going to be studying what I love and be getting this money? Oh, sign me up. So that's how I got here. So I would say my motivation is actually advancing, like getting more. I'm always hungry for more things that I can learn. And alhamdulillah, I've been here and I have no regrets. It's nice to meet everyone.
Oh, sorry, I was muted and I was speaking. Thank you for that response, Toiva. Toiva is a friend that I know, so I am aware of her story, but it's good to hear it again over here in the seminar. So up next, I will ask the same question to Zainab Dawaki. The floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone.
Walaikum assalam.
My name is Zainab Umar Dawaki. I'm originally from Kano State. So I obtained my bachelor degree from computer science from Adana University of Benin Republic. Then now I am currently a final year student from Xidian University, where I am studying information and communication engineering under Chinese government scholarship. So I'm always have to dream to study abroad and experiencing a new culture. So I started by researching, the scholarship and university in China because I have always been interested in technology. So I focus on schools that offer, some courses in English because I don't want to speak in Chinese. So obviously I don't want to study in Chinese language. So what's motivated me to study in China? I just know that the scholarship are not just for providing, financial assistance, but it's also involved in how the abilities and investing in our future. So I decided to further my education because, where I grow up is like a community that they don't care about women education. They just took it as something, as a big for a woman to study, like for masters or something like that. So I'm always trying to do something that make, as I put, the community to see, yeah, a woman is trying to do something. So that's why I am trying to advance my study, and I choose to study in China. So
Thank you very much, Zainab Dawaki, for giving us that introduction and your motivation. It was really appreciated, and I'm so happy because everyone has very different experiences. So next, I will move to Zainab Umar to give us an introduction.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining this webinar. My name is Zainab Umar, as introduced, and I'm from Kano State as well. And I had my first and second degree in zoology with specialization in parasitology from Bayero University, Kano. And currently I'm a PhD student. PhD student of veterinary sciences at the University of Melbourne in Australia. So for me, my own motivation is I've always been someone who has interest in the diseases of animals. And we all know, I mean, everyone that's part of this webinar is aware that our state-of-the-art facilities in Nigeria, as well as funding for research, for some novel research studies that we will want to conduct, may not allow us to really be where we are, where we need to be, or what we need to do in terms of research studies. So my motivation is just being somewhere that I will have state-of-the-art facilities and the required funding to do the research studies that I'm interested in. And I'm glad that today I'm where I am, doing what I like to do. So the motivation is just to be where I would be able to do what I'm doing today.
I see. Thank you for that answer. It's good to know that you're able to find a place where you're able to do what you love and you're interested in. So next, I would like to call upon Mrs. Zaytun to speak and give an introduction. Because I am unable to quickly go through the guests because there are like 100 people. So I haven't checked if she has joined while we were speaking. But if Mrs. Zaytun Bakabe is here, please, you can unmute yourself and speak. Okay, I'll do a quick search. Because if she isn't here, then okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Salam. Good morning.
I'm Zaitun Sinusi Bakabe. I graduated from Bayero University, where I obtained my first and second degree in economics. What motivated me to be seeking all this scholarship abroad is the trust. The trust that parents gave me while I'm undergraduate, because being the first lady to go and study within outside our geographical zone, that is to the northwest. So that gave me the motivation to do more, to offer more, so that I can encourage my younger ones to study. And alhamdulillah, I was opportune to get that trust from those parents, and their children were entrusted to me. So after my graduation, I started checking all this kind of online scholarship, and who really motivated me, it's one of my lecturer, Dr. Nura Aliyu Kabuga, because whenever I send him a recommendation letter, he will even fill it before me finishing the online application, or he will send it to me. At times, I used to forget that I started application, but he will remind me, Zaitun, you say they need me to recommend you, so. So that thing really pushed me to be applying, although we couldn't succeed in most, but alhamdulillah, I got a lot of experience. As of now, I got 3 admission and 3 PhD admission with different university in Asian countries.
Oh,
so that's really
glad to
what
hear that.
motivated me too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and nice to meet you all.
Wow. Nice to meet you too. That is really good to hear. Sorry, sometimes my video would be off because it's not completely stable, but I'll be back on as soon as I can. So I would quickly check, but before I move on, I want to, okay, I just confirmed that the special guest has joined us. So I'll quickly check the list of, okay, I can see there's Mariam Abdullahi, like Mrs. Mariam Abdullahi. So can you please unmute and confirm that you're with us?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm glad.
Welcome. Yes.
My name is Mariam Abdullahi Musa from the Department of Computer Science, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi. First of all, I'm an indigene of Bauchi State, based in Bauchi State. I started my primary education in Bauchi and later moved into Zaria, ABU Zaria, attended TGC Zaria, and then back to ATBU and had my first degree in computer science, my MSc in computer science, and also my PhD in computer science with specialization in cybersecurity, network intrusion detection systems. I'm a lecturer in ATBU in same department for 14 years now.
Awesome.
It's nice having you all.
Welcome, yeah, welcome, Ma. It's nice having you here.
Welcome,
I really
Ma.
appreciate you joining us for this webinar. Thank you. So without further ado, before you join, I started with asking our discussants questions. And surprisingly, yes, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, yes. So I was going over the questions that we had for our discussants who are present today. And now that you're present, I will go over questions with you before I continue going over the rest of the questions with the other discussants. So surprisingly, it was taking a bit more time than expected because everyone had interesting responses, which I think is important for us to hear. But I'll try to make sure that your questions are like we go over them quickly so that we'll be on time with the rest of the schedule. So my first question for you, Ma, is a brief introduction about your experience and motivation for academic and grant applications.
Okay, thank you very much. You said my experience and...
Yes, your experience as an academia and motivation in academics, like why you decided to go into academics, and then grant applications that you have been a part of. So what motivated you to go into those as an academia?
Right, from my primary education, I had the zeal for teaching. My father was an educationist of blessed memory, so I think he was the one that really motivated me to be in the education sector. And as a matter of, I grew up as a daughter of, he was a disciplinarian, an educationist, and he was an advocate for girls' child education. So we had equal opportunity, being girls and sisters and brothers. We were given equal opportunity by my father. So I had the opportunity to continue learning from primary education up to the university under the umbrella of my father. So along the line, I saw it wanting to pursue scholarships, relieving my family from the burden of maybe school fees. Since I come from the Hausa Fulani community, we have extended families that maybe you will see that there is a breadwinner that will be the one to cater for each and everybody. So I think by venturing and looking for scholarship, I can relieve my father's blessed memory to see if I can get a slot for scholarship. And having been a very good student with high CGPA scores, whenever I see a scholarship application, I tend to apply. So the journey began during my high school years when I dedicated my time checking newspapers as of that time, 2004, 2005, checking newspapers and scouring the internet for internet opportunities. I spent countless hours researching and compiling lists and organizing deadlines to see I meet deadlines. And each application required meticulous attention to detail, from writing personal essays to gathering letters of recommendation, securing semester results because we have to upload semester result at some point in time, to working very hard to attain a high and required cumulative grade points average. Because when you're given a scholarship, you must keep to the standard of the required CGPE for you to continue collecting that scholarship fund. Then one of the most significant challenges I faced was that I have, sorry to say, I don't have any connection. I didn't have any family, friends, or relatives who could provide insider information or a recommendation. Instead, I had to rely on my academic achievements, extracurricular activities, and personal story to make my application stand out. I always strongly believe in my creator that there will be distinctive slots on merit, and inshallah I will be amongst them. So that was what motivated me, and had whenever I apply, I tell people or my mates, my peer group, apply for this. They said they don't have connection and they will not apply. They don't have connection and they will not apply. So I normally apply without any ego or what. In many instances,
yeah, thank you for sharing that. And sorry for cutting you off, because like the response is very interesting to learn that as early as 2004 it was already at the back of your mind to search for scholarship. But most times this doesn't, like, it's until people bring information to us that we begin to pursue them. So it's interesting to learn that you had that motivation right from the start. So I wanted to also add, before we continue, a second question which we have for you on like why women's education is crucial and for the development of the country, especially the northern part. So for this one, a very brief answer would be appreciated so that I could continue with the rounds with the rest of the participants. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So women education is very crucial for individual empowerment and societal development in virtually every country, and so to say Nigeria, because let's talk about health benefits. When a woman is educated, they have better knowledge about health and hygiene, leading to healthier families. They may even be more likely to seek medical care, use family planning methods, and ensure their children are vaccinated, because many men don't take their children for vaccination due to inadequate knowledge about what that vaccine is all about. And there will be much more of there will be child development when a woman is educated. educated mothers are more likely to prioritize their children's education and well-being, which will contribute to the breaking the cycle of poverty and underdevelopment.
That's a really good answer, and I completely agree with that. That educated mothers would lead to a more educated society where the children knows the importance of education and going to school. Thank you very much for that answer. So I will go on to the rest of the discussants, and then after I ask them a couple of other questions about their experiences, I will come back to you with 1 or 2 questions so that you could provide a closing remark before we move to Q&A and close. So back to the discussants, I will ask in a random order. So the last time I started with Mrs. Umar, so this time around I will start with, let's say, Zainab Dawaki. So the question I have, I'm combining 2 questions together. What were the difficulties you faced when you applied for the scholarship, and how is the studies currently going? So when the process of application, what challenges you face, and now that you are in, that you have experienced a couple of semesters, how is it going? A brief answer would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So I experienced several challenges during my scholarship application. For example, initially, finding a suitable scholarship that's aligned with my qualification and requirement is very difficult. Because as I mentioned earlier, I focus on university that offer some programs in English. So I have seen various choices available, but is in Chinese taught. So I have to leave it. So this issue limited my choices, even though it made my application focused. And secondly, the process of applying is a little bit complicated and it's consumed time. So, getting all the necessary documents, writing essay and meeting deadline, it requires a lot of effort here. And in addition, many of us they don't have idea about the application process. It requires like some financial investment, for example, sometimes the application fees. So I think it is good to make a budget or seek some maybe support from family or friends. And scholarship is very competitive with many, applicants from around the world. So you have to stand out and highlight some unique experience and maybe dedication based on the field of study. So based on some maybe difficulties I face, throughout my academic journey, it has been going well, but I have experienced some challenges. It was very difficult for me to adapt to a different education system and their culture. So it took some time for me to adjust the language barriers and maybe variation of teaching approaches. So despite the difficulties, I have made a good progress. I received some support from my professor and even some of my senior students. Even though I thought research work should be in team, but the time I joined my lab, I realized that it is individual work. Of course, it took me some time to learn the experiment, learning some test bed. It's quite difficult, but at the end, I achieved with the guidance of some of my colleagues from my lab. So this is some difficulties and some experience I faced during
I see. Thank you for sharing. And I'm glad to hear that you're able to get support from your lab mates. And I also agree with the difficulties because a lot of times people don't really consider the financial aspect of applying because all of these documents and authentication, it costs money. So I'm glad you're able to pass through and still make it through, and now you're almost graduating. So I will ask the same question to Mrs. Khadija. So I know we have 2 Khadija here. One is Khadija Ibrahim, and the other Khadija, I was unable to get to her in the first round before I move on to the special guest. So I'm talking about Khadijat Adeyele. So please, if you're here, can you unmute your mic and respond to the question? First of all, since this is your first time we're asking you a question, you can introduce yourself, your educational background, where you currently are, and then a brief motivation for why you applied for scholarship, and then difficulties in this process. I hope it's not too much that is just thrown at you now. So let me know when you're ready. Hello?
I think Khadija may be muted.
Yes, Khadija, you are currently muted. Okay, so hello? Okay, also apologies if my background is noisy. It's currently raining a lot in where I currently am. I'm in Seoul. So if it's noisy and you cannot hear me properly, let me know so I can speak up louder. So for now, I think Khadija might not be able to speak. Khadija, please, when you're available to speak, kindly leave a message in the chat so we can get back to you. So I will move on to Khadija Ibrahim. Can you share your difficulties when applying and how studies is currently going for you?
Yeah, thank you once again. So I'll say there's two ways to it. When I finished, my youth service, that was in like 2017. Immediately I finished, I was, aiming to further my education. I just finished my bachelor degree and I wanted to venture into something different because my bachelor degree was in petroleum chemistry and I was aspiring to do more because at some point in time I felt like, oh yeah, it's chemistry, but it's not as challenging as I thought it would be. So I said, okay, why not do something different? And that was the time when I applied to PTDF, which is the Petroleum Trust Development Fund, for my master's. And as at the time, that was the first ever scholarship I applied for. And the basics you get to hear is, if you are trying to get a scholarship from PTDF, like, oh, you need to know someone, you need to be connected, and so on and so forth. But the whole process was seamless, to say the least. When it came to, like applying for the scholarship itself, I even did it at the time on my phone, like I was so unserious. I opened up the website and I saw, oh, I have all the documents, the scanned document that I needed as at the time. And then I just went on to apply. And then usually there's this like, like personal statements that you have to, like an essay that you have to write to why you are applying for the scholarship and, like what's your, future aspiration or what you intend to do or how it relates to, that particular scholarship, like what your field is. And at the time, of course, I wanted to change my course, and that was my biggest motivation. So I wrote on that. And then fast forward to, 2020, 2021, I said, oh, I'm done with my master's, I'm married, I have a kid. Why not go for PhD? So now, most people will think, oh, you have everything easy. Maybe right now I'm in Germany. Like, trust me, it wasn't easy. Actually getting a PhD like scholarship. For some, of course, very easy. I know I have applied to several countries. Like at first, my main focus was the UK because I had experience in the UK. So going back, I felt like, oh, that should be the, like the soft landing for me. But then God had other plans, and I applied to other countries. And then fortunately, again, I said, okay, I have a PhD, master's degree I got from PTDF. Okay, why not still apply for, the scholarship for PTDF? And then I did. But instead of focusing on a country that I have been to, I said, okay, I just change my perspective, maybe being more minded. So a lot of times I think we tend to have this, like, I won't say it's a problem, but you have, this idea that, oh, I want to go to the US, and you just focus on just US, forgetting that there's so many other opportunities. There are opportunities in, Asia, there's opportunity in Europe, and so on. So for me, like, at the end of the day, it just boiled down to being open-minded, and I think that has really worked for me, because at the end of the day, I was able to secure, I think, best decisions that I have made in a very long time. So
yes, thank you very much. Thank you for that answer, because it could help other people who are only focused on the country to look broader and wider. So that is very much appreciated. Yeah, so I'll move on to the next discussion, which is Toiba, Mrs. Toiba Ajibola. Can you please tell us the difficulties when applying and how studies is currently going? And please, I would advise that you keep your answers brief, because I really like to hear what Umar Kulthum and the other speakers will have to say about their experiences. And also the coordinator is on one side pressing me about time. So I'm here acting calm and cool, but then somebody is like behind reminding me about that. So Eva, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm going to be as brief as possible. First of all, my difficulty when I was applying for my scholarship, like I said before, I was offered the scholarship. So that came with a lot of instructions about the window for the application, what it entails, the document that I'm going to be submitting. And my major challenge then was how to gather the documents, especially the recommendation letters from the university I graduated from, and verification of documents. In case, for people that do not know, getting your documents notarized in Abuja is like a very difficult game. And sometimes people use money to actually lobby the staff to speed up the process. So then I was serving in Abuja, and I was very close to the secretariat. So I thought, oh, it shouldn't be a lot of problems. And I had a lot of people working there. So me too, I was like, oh, I will go through this person. So it turned out that it's really, the ministry is actually big, that the area where the notarization was going on had nothing to do with the office where the person that I knew was working. So it then required me to actually do the work myself. I didn't waste much time, because I would go very early as 6, which I think was not really nice, because if we had some process in place, it would make things really easy. So that was just the area where I had some difficulty. But then when I discussed with others that were in my cohort that were applying together, one of the things that they had difficulty with, which I think one of the speakers already mentioned, is finance, money. Even if you get a scholarship, it doesn't guarantee that you will actually be able to take the offer, because by the time you calculate the amount that you will spend to actually secure that scholarship, then you will find out that without savings, you can't actually pursue that offer. So the second question about how my study is going, me, I like to enjoy. So I don't like to stress myself at all. Like this, I don't leave lab. Well, my lab actually entertains this, because I'm in computational lab. I'm always with my system. I can work from anywhere. So sometimes I just go to a cafe by the beach and just distress. I can be coding there, I will still be productive, but I will also have a good mental stability, to work under. So the difficulty that I would think is that managing my time based on the workloads that I get in school, especially when the lectures are going on during when we're not in vacation, when we have to take coursework and everything. I don't like coursework. I think graduate school should not have coursework. I always say this. So most times I always have problem concentrating on my research and then having to take lectures. But these days I've been able to cope well, and I'm almost done with my coursework for my PhD program. So I can say that I'm managing it well. Thank you for your question.
That is good. Congratulations on almost completing your coursework for a PhD
Thank
program.
you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that is nice. And thank you for the answer. I think the same thing that we keep getting back to is the finances. Because when you say scholarship, it doesn't mean free everything. It's getting there after all the application and all the runarounds that is the main hurdle for a lot of people. So next, I will go to Ms. Zainab Umar to give us an answer to the same question, how your studies are going and difficulties when you're initially applying. The floor is yours.
Like most people have mentioned, and as everyone here that's joining this webinar is aware, there are more than enough challenges to mention in this webinar about, seeking a scholarship. It's just today you get a rejection email saying, sorry, we wouldn't be able to continue processing your application to, you need to maybe take an English test. You need to commit time, so there are more than enough challenges. So as an applicant, you just need to brace up. So the challenges were there, but then we are somewhere else with the scholarship, doing what we like. So I wouldn't go deeply into the many challenges that I've faced before getting this scholarship, but everyone is aware that we have the challenges. The ability to brace up, embrace them and continue to apply is what will lead you to getting an offer. Getting onto the question on how is the research going, I'm really glad that things are going the way I expect them to go and the way I want them to be. I mean, there's progress in just a year and 3 months. So I can say so far so good. There's no any, I mean, PhD, when you decide to go for a PhD, you're already challenging yourself that you want to answer a question that nobody has answered before. So that's more than enough for a challenge. But then when you're getting the answer to the research question that you said, it keeps you motivated. So I'm glad that everything's going on well the way I wanted to do.
That is good. That is really good to hear. Thank you for the answer, Zainab Umar. I think listening to all of you now, I'm getting ginger to apply for a PhD. Because for me, I just did my bachelor's and then I started working, and I'm considering doing a master's. But I'm like, PhD is beginning to sound more interesting as I'm having this discussion. So without further ado, I will go to Mrs. Kulthum Lawal to learn about your difficulties. And for you, you have you're currently in Saudi and you'll be going to Texas soon. So you must have had experience applying for different programs and different challenges that they come with. So if you could give us a brief answer on how the current program is going, and next month what you expect to meet in your new program, that would be very much appreciated.
All right. With regards to the application, like everyone has already mentioned the challenges, but one thing I didn't hear anyone mentioning is our Nigerian curriculum actually doesn't help us when we are applying for things, because the competition is fierce. But then our curriculum is very backwards, and we don't have enough research experiences that we can portray out there so that we can be ahead of other people that are looking for the same position that we are looking for. So that is also a challenge. So when you go there, you will realize that you don't know anything because your curriculum is backwards. So you have to teach yourself ahead of time for you to cope with the other members of the class. I think that is one of the things that I experienced during my master's, because moving from bachelor's to here, I realized that we were not taught enough. what we were taught was not enough. So that is also a challenge. With regards to a new place, like you have to adapt to the new teacher system and all. And for me, like as you mentioned, moving from Saudi Arabia to the US now, I would say the challenge is people. They will be like, why are you moving from a very religious place to the US? What are you looking for? What is there? Like, people will try to make you feel, okay, am I making the right decision? Am I not making the right decision? Like, why are you moving away from somewhere that you can just go Islamic setting? But I believe you are the determinant of what you want. Like, if you want something, that is what you're going to aim for. I know my reasons for moving out from Saudi to the US. I know there will be challenges there. I know there will be a lot of culture shock. I know when I get there in that school, I will be the only Hausa girl over there. I know that. I am willing to accept that. So you have to be satisfied with what you want. If you're satisfied with what you want and what you are aiming for, what people will say will not matter. A lot of people that are even talking, they are praying to get whatever it is that you are about to get, but because it's not, they are not in your shoes, they will try to put doubts within yourself. So that is also another challenge I would highlight out there. But because of time, I won't talk further about them. But I'm glad to share my challenges with you.
Yes, thank you very much for the detail and also mentioning the other aspect that has not been mentioned by most other speakers about the challenges that you face coming just from different aspects, especially the Nigerian curriculum not being enough and not providing us enough information to be competitive enough in a global setting, whereby we have to teach ourselves a lot of things from scratch. So that's a very good point to mention, because sometimes when you go to this new school system, you need to do a lot of self-learning to be able to catch up with the rest. Well, alhamdulillah, we're all smart people, so we're doing it successfully because we are still surviving in these spaces. So that is good. And next, I will go to Zaytun Bakabe. I know that for you, Zaytun, you're in the process of applying and you're still currently applying. So can you share a couple of difficulties that have not been maybe highlighted that you faced, and in the future studies that you're going into, what you were expecting? Also very briefly, and then I will go to the last question for all our participants. So Zaytun, the floor is yours.
All right, ma. Although I have been facing a technical issue while joining now, it's now that I'm able to join. So I grabbed few from Husseina. Actually, there are a lot of difficulties, but if you keep on applying, although the rejection is it's very the wet rejection is very hurtful wet, because that thing will really motivated you to apply more, because the scholarship is very wide. If you didn't get this one, you'll be able to get this one. And the challenge is similar to, because we are all from North, and you know the tradition is most of female got married or they stopped their studies at bachelor degree. Very few of them usually pursue their education to the higher level. So it's very difficult to convince your parent. Even if your parents are really convinced, you have to put a lot of effort to convince those around them, because they will be saying, this one, she like Boko, or she married Boko ma. They will say now Boko is your second home. So there is a lot of changes, but alhamdulillah, the mindset now has been changing. Yes, there is progress, and there is a lot of improvement. Since we have numerous nowadays PhD holders, females PhD holders among us, but still that belief, it will take time before we can eliminate it from our blood. Thank you very much.
That is true. Thank you for the answer. And next, I will go to Khadija. Adeze. I don't know if you're able to speak now. Can you please introduce yourself since you were unable to speak in the first time I asked, and then share a quick motivation why you apply and difficulties you faced while applying.
Yeah, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm Khadijat Adeleye. I'm from the southwest Nigeria, basically from Lagos. I grew up in Lagos. I had my diploma in nursing from Ogun State School of Nursing, Ijebu-Ode. I went further to have my first degree in nursing from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. And I was so determined to have my master's in nursing. I went further to have my master's in nursing from University of Ibadan.
Yeah.
And what motivated me to pursue a higher degree is because of my profession. My profession is Christian dominated. And if you are a Muslim, to thrive in the profession is always difficult, and they tend to see the Muslims as not or somebody that does not have adequate knowledge. And there are certain positions that they will say it's meant for the Christians. And to get those positions, you need to be educated. You need to have what it requires, and that was what motivated me to further my education. Right now, I'm a PhD candidate at University of Massachusetts, Amherst, furthering my PhD in nursing. I think I would say I didn't have any challenges applying for my PhD because I had a lot of mentors that were trying to put me through when applying the PhD scholarship. I used so many resources like LinkedIn profile. I got my advisor from LinkedIn, which was there to put me through my PhD application, and I was successful at it. Thank you.
I see. Thank you very much for the good answer, and it's good that you're able to finally join us and see. And it's interesting the point you mentioned about your motivation for pursuing further education, being that in the environment where you were, mostly Muslims were not a lot of Muslims there in the field, so you wanted to be one of those people who took it upon herself to further education. That's a very interesting motivation. So thank you for sharing. And since we're already on you, I would like to ask the last question, starting from you, Khadija, and that is, what are your tips for a successful scholarship application? If you can mention one or two tips, and then you can mention the scholarship you're on and other type of scholarship opportunities that you're aware of, so that our participants today would know that, okay, this one of two tips can help them in their current or future application, and also they could search on the scholarship that you're going to mention today.
Sorry, can you repeat the first question?
Oh yeah, so it's just what the tips for a successful scholarship application, one or two tips when you are applying for University of Massachusetts. What do you think helped you to get it? And also, if you can mention the scholarship you're on or any other scholarship that you think would be beneficial to the participants today.
Okay. I'm not on any specific scholarship at University of Massachusetts Amherst because the US PhD system is different from other PhD system. The PhD system is different in terms that you receive a research assistant or teaching assistantship when you secure your PhD admission. And there are some schools that have fully funded PhD scholarship. That means you are going to be a research assistant on a certain project.
Yeah.
My advice for potential candidates is to be determined and not to limit their efforts, and not to limit the application to one school. They should apply to several schools. I know the application to the US might be capital intensive because some of them requires money, and they should focus on schools that don't require English exams. Some school requires GRE, and some of the things is to get adequate mentor to guide you while applying for this. And there are things like somebody said about our curriculum, there are things in Nigeria that we don't take serious, like volunteering in some non-governmental organizations.
Yeah.
Starting the research writing early, getting enough publication,
Mm.
getting to the media to speak, like being known for what you are doing. Those are the things that count when you are applying. Those are what they look for in a potential candidate in the US.
Like visibility, knowing that this is something that you have been doing and you're involved in, even if it's like an article or two, because especially on LinkedIn now, you can write an article in your own post. So this point that you mentioned just reminded me that people who are interested in applying for scholarships, especially PhD, you can start writing articles and research a couple of things about the field that you're doing and just share as articles so that you can show when they're looking you up, they would see, oh, this person spoke about how this works and this works. So it gives a bit more, it adds to some degree. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I see. Those are really, and this is also insightful, learning that you don't need, you're not on a specific scholarship. It's most fully funded, right? The research assistant and the PhD program. So does this include like what do you call it? The tuition is covered. Does it include like monthly stipends?
So when you are on research assistantship or teaching assistantship, is automatically you have a tuition waiver and you go on with some stipend. It now depends on how you can spend the money personally. Some might say the money is not enough for them. Some will say it's enough for me. I do send some money home. So it depends on how you can manage your finances. And at times you get funding to attend conferences locally.
Yeah, I see. Got it. Yeah, thank you for that answer. So moving on, I would very much appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone has gotten a thing or two from your response. Moving on, I'll go to Zainab Omar. If you can give us a tip or two that you think helped you to secure your scholarship, and if you can mention the available scholarship that our audience can apply for in the future, that would be very much appreciated.
Okay, is it me? Because I...
Oh, sorry, Zainab Omar.
Okay. So, okay, let me talk about the scholarship opportunities, then I will mention some tips. So, in China, maybe I will suggest some 3 available scholarship opportunities for international students. So, number 1 is like Youth Excellence Scheme of China Scholarship, which is also known as Chinese Government Scholarship. So, for me, I am under Chinese Government Scholarship, and it's very, very good scholarship, yeah. So the benefit of CSC scholarship is very good. The benefit is like they will give you fully funded scholarship. It will cover tuitions fee, free accommodation on the campus, and they will give monthly stipend every month, and they will cover medical insurance. But this scholarship is only for masters and PhD students. So the second one is Shanghai Municipal Government Scholarship, but this one is available for students at all levels. Undergraduate student, postgraduate student, that is masters and PhD can also apply. But this scholarship is in 2 types categories, type 1, type A, and type B. So type A scholarship is fully scholarship. They'll cover accommodation, tuitions fee, and medical insurance. While the type B is just for funded like accommodation. They will not give you monthly stipend, and they will not cover the accommodation. And then answer scholarship, yeah, it's also very good. So these 3 scholarship, it's very, very good for international student. And before application, I think make sure you meet all the eligibility criteria, like academic qualification, and importantly, language proficiency. So, which is very, very important, especially for those that study from non-English speaking country. So it's important for them to get the English certificate. Even if you study in English, yeah, they will require that.
I see.
And the scholarship, yeah, so then some tips for successful scholarship, sorry. So I think, firstly, you have to start your application process earlier so that to give yourself enough time to get all your necessary documents and your information. And secondly, before you start your application, make sure you meet all the requirements and then try to follow application guideline closely without like skipping any important point, and try to seek some guidance, talk to your mentor, like to get some advice and support. So yeah, and try to maybe highlight some strengths on your personal statement. Try to focus on like what make you unique and your passion for the field you want to study. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much for those points. I'm sure that everyone here must have taken one or two from those. Next, I will go to the other Zainab Umar to give us her like a tip or two, and if you know a couple of scholarships I would like to share with the audience.
So my advice to anyone applying for any scholarship is usually what I tell applicants is be intentional about winning. Everyone that joined this webinar is interested in getting a scholarship, but then not all people are intentional about winning. What I mean by being intentional is have it at the back of your mind whenever you're applying for a scholarship that you are doing it with hundreds or thousands other applicants. And also have it at the back of your mind that you are using your application to convince a funding body to invest their money in you to pursue a master's or a PhD. So that means nobody is ready to commit their money on you if you're not ready to commit your time and also your money to get that scholarship. If you need, get your passport ready, renew it if it's expired. If you need to take English proficiency tests, take them. Even if it means you have to stay awake to be able to send emails to supervisors, to watch webinars, to join sessions. There are many free sessions, like this one is free. I know a lot of people that organize webinars that you have to pay to be part of it, but this one is free. So invest your money, join webinars, do whatever it takes to be able to get that offer later. What you need to know is, I always capitalize on this. Nobody is ready to invest in someone who is not ready to commit their own time and money. And you are competing with so many other people. So whenever you're applying, even if it's about essay writing, ask yourself, is this essay that I wrote enough to convince somebody to invest or to trust that I can do it? So that's just overall what I'm trying to say. Be intentional that you want to win. If you get an email that you were not selected, I know it's painful, but then brace up, do it again, invest your time, invest your money, and then one day definitely you will get that scholarship. About opportunities in Australia, my PhD is not sponsored by Uni Melbourne or Australia. It's funded by another funding body in Europe. But yes, there are opportunities in Australia. Dr. Chutiami can tell us more about such, but to the best of my knowledge, I know that there is no separate application, not like other countries that you have to put up an application separately from admission. In Australia, you just apply to unis, and then if your CV is a high-profile one, in terms of your CGPA, conferences attended, publications in high-impact factual journals. What other thing? If the CV is a rich one and competitive enough to be considered for a scholarship, you will be given a scholarship alongside an admission letter.
Yes, I see. Thank you very much for that answer. I think a lot of people agreed with your point of, if you don't invest your time, nobody will want to invest in you. That's a very strong one, because from an application, you can tell the efforts that was put into putting it together. So if something was rushed or lazily organized, you can easily tell that, okay, this person is not really pulling their weights, and that could even be the deciding factor. So thank you very much for highlighting that point. So I'll go ahead and ask the same question to Mrs. Umul Kulsum Lawal. What tips for successful application is, and a couple of scholarships that you have applied for or you are aware of that you can share with the audience?
I will share the recent one for the US, because a lot of people will be like, oh, I want to come to the US. But then when you ask them, like, what are they doing about it? Nothing. As the other speaker spoke about investing your time. Because when somebody wants to apply to the US, they will be like, okay, I want to go to the US, but then they will be asking you, which school should I apply to? Like, it's not like Middle East or like any other place where you will say, okay, apply to this school. US is subjective. Like it depends on what you are looking for. What research are you even looking for? So if you're looking for maybe a PhD in the US, you have to do your homework. You have to invest a lot of time. You have to go to each department, look into each faculty member, see which one you think that their research interest aligns with yours, do your homework, send them an email, show an interest, go for an interview. If they require GRE, you take a GRE. For people like us that are in the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, you have to take a GRE. Even though some in the US, like a lot of schools, like they waive the IELTS and the TOEFL, but you have to do a lot of work. Nobody is going to tell you this is the school that you have to apply to when you're doing a PhD in the US. You have to be the one to decide within yourself, what is it that I am looking for? What am I looking for? And then you go to each department, look into each faculty member, have a list, write cold emails, write SOPs based on the schools you want to apply to, modify your CV to the specific country you want to apply to, and also that. So with that is all I can say. Like, you have to invest your time, you have to make your efforts yourself. And for the scholarships, like I said, there's no particular school that I would recommend for someone, because it depends on the course of study and also your personal research interests. So yeah.
I see. Thank you very much for that answer. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was in agreement that because the US is a very big place, and especially for PhD, as Khadija mentioned earlier, there's no specific scholarship. If you're going into PhD, you could be covered and sponsored as a research assistant just by the school. So once again, preparation is a key point here, and research, highlights, being organized, also applying early. These are points and tips for successful scholarship application, and we can all agree that starting early, being organized, and researching with preparation, those are the things that contribute to successful application. Next, I will move to Khadija Ibrahim. What do you think helped you to be successful in your application? And you can mention the scholarship you're on, or if you have any scholarship that you can share with the audience.
I think all the speakers have said basically everything. They've like pointed out the most important aspect of any successful scholarship. I would just reiterate on not giving up, because honestly, I know it can be, demoralizing to maybe. I have this year, I took up like a mentorship program starting in January, where I have mentees. I'm kind of like giving them a guide on how to go about applying, whether it's master's or PhD. And trust me, one of the things that I have realized, which of course I also went through it, is the persistency and the commitment. So for example, you can end up putting in so much energy and time to apply for that particular scholarship, and then maybe eventually you get a rejection to say, or we call it a love letter, right? And that just demoralizes you. But trust me, everyone who has gotten to this point has also received that same rejection letter you have received, but they never gave up. So the whole point is, don't give up. Don't. And as I mentioned earlier, we have different scholarships, right? Like in Nigeria, we have sponsored scholarships, whether it's for those in academia, You have TED Fund, maybe if you lecture in public universities. You have PTDF, that is, you know, like sponsored by our government in Nigeria. And then here we have different, for example, I am in Germany. After getting PTDF, I equally had to apply for what we call the DAAD. So the DAAD scholarship is for, you know, like people who are interested in for like coming to Germany and they don't have the opportunity, you know, to go ahead and apply for scholarships through the Nigerian government. And aside, the most important aspect is whether you have a first class, second class, lower, it really doesn't matter the class of degree if you're able to prove that you can, you know, do more for yourself. So yeah, the class of degree sometimes, because some of the scholarships are competitive, but that shouldn't stop you from applying. It shouldn't. So for example, if you want to come to Germany, trust me, DAAD is the best route for you. You just go through the different areas in DAAD. There's development, politics, public policy, STEM, everything. So yeah, you can give it that.
Yes, thank you very much for sharing. And for our audience, if you want to go to Germany, DAAD is the best route, as Khadija just suggested. Thank you and for mentioning that. So up next, I'll go to Toyiba Ajibola, Mrs. Toyiba Ajibola, to give us her tips for successful application and available scholarships that you're aware of.
Yeah, thank you for your questions. Firstly, I think most of the guests have already done justice to the first one by listing lots of tips that can help aspirants to gain successful scholarship into universities abroad. So I'm going to skip that. And then I'm going to go ahead to list some of the scholarship opportunities that are available in South Korea. I think recently there's been like a huge surge in the number of aspirants for scholarship in Korea, and I don't blame them, because now, aside from the K-pop sensation and K-drama sensation, most people are beginning to see the advantages of these scholarships themselves through research. So the most popular one amongst them is the Global Korean Scholarship, which is popularly known as GKS, formerly known as KGSB. I didn't apply for the scholarship myself, but from my research, I know it's very competitive, and every year there are lots of people that are always gone in for the same spot. And as far as I know that there are very, very, very limited slots for Nigeria as a country. If I'm not mistaken, it's not even up to like 30 aspirants every year. So this scholarship is very good. In fact, it's the best in South Korea because it caters for the airfare, accommodation, stipend, and a whole lot of other bonuses like reading for books and all others like that. So it's very good. But aside from that, there are also university scholarships like the one that I came here with. And for my university, Kyungpook National University, we have a scholarship called Kings. So it's for graduate students. There is no King scholarship for undergraduate. But for Kings, you enjoy tuition waiver, maybe 50% or 100%. And then you enjoy stipend based on project funds by your advisor. And usually there are like limits to the amount that you get, and there are no upper limits. Like the least that you get for a master's student is about $1,000 per month, aside from getting your tuition paid. And then for PhD scholars, it ranges from the minimum of $1,500 up to, I know someone collecting $2,000 based on your inputs in projects in your laboratory, you know. So another type of scholarship that I know is the Koika scholarship. And this scholarship is really good for people that are in agriculture or it's related courses like that. And it's usually for people that are working in ministries. So oftentimes I usually hear people say, oh, I'm too old, I'm already working here, I don't need to further my studies or there is no opportunity for me because of my age, I always tell them that it's because your research is not adequate enough. Even though scholarships specify the age limit, there are still always some opportunities for you to pursue.
Yeah, it will be
So,
chili. Okay, should we add chili? Should we add more
Sorry,
chili?
Musadik, can you mute yourself? Okay, thank you.
So for COICA, mostly the important thing is for you to get a recommendation letter from your employer, and that's usually someone at the Ministry of Agriculture to recommend you for that scholarship. And most times you will come here and you will study, and then you go and apply what you studied for 2 years, maybe for masters, or for 3 years for PhD in the ministry when you return back to Nigeria. And Nigeria is one of the top countries that are enjoying this scholarship. There's also the Samsung Global Hope Scholarship. This is relatively new. I think it's created by Samsung maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It's also very, very competitive, but it's very good scholarship. Imagine that you are sponsored by Samsung to come and study in South Korea. I don't even need to go into the detail. You know that everything is paid for. You don't have any trouble, and you don't even have to bother about going to the lab like us under the university scholarship. So all of these scholarships are good in their own way, and they are tailored for different disciplines. You know, for someone in STEM, you can have options, but for people in humanity or social sciences, or or languages, you might really be limited. So it's only through research. Like I said, people already gave tips, but I always emphasize on research, that for everything you need to know about any scholarship, it's already online. Just ask the right questions and try to connect to people on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on X that are already there, and ask them questions. Make sure you know what you are getting into, because some people would think that, oh, when I get here, I will just start collecting the money. No, you have to work for that money. You have to output something, which makes sense. If you cannot output anything, then how are they getting the grants to pay you? So I'm sure there are lots of other scholarships. There's also post-school, also scholarships for language trainings in Korea. There are universities that pay you to come and learn Korean language. So there are so many other ones. So through research, you can actually get opinion about them. Sorry for taking so much time.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Thank you very much for sharing, and it is very appreciated. So without wasting any more time, because I know we have a lot of questions, I would like to go to Dr. Mariam to give us closing remarks. I have a couple of questions. So Dr. Mariam, if you're still here, kindly confirm that you're present. So I will go ahead with the questions.
Yes, I'm with you.
Thank you very much. So I wanted to ask, what are the most important takeaway from today's discussion on women's education and scholarship opportunities? And also, if you can give a general advice to the young people here who are listening to you on the importance of to keep going and continue applying for opportunities. So these are 2 questions. The floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. To be biased for my female sisters, the House of Fulani community, if you find yourself to be a married woman, don't be set back. You can do it. You can pursue to the highest caliber of the educational system, even though you're married. And I got married at my undergraduate level. At a 300 level, I had my first daughter. I still continue my studies up to this level with children and all the rest. So my advice to my female sisters is that they can all continue. They can pursue whatever they want to pursue with them being married. And also, for getting scholarships, just know that rejections are stepping stones for success. We should never give up. We test our resilience and determination. And each no
we receive strengthens our ability to bounce back, to adapt, and continue striving towards our goal. So, in all, we have to embrace rejections, learn from it, and let it propel towards achieving our dreams. Thank you. So, the second question, please.
Thank you very much for. So the second one, it was, yeah, hello. So I
Yes,
think the first and second question were all put into, like, combined together because it was a general advice. The first one was more of the important takeaway from today's discussion.
Okay. And don't be as a scholarship hunter. Don't see that you cannot obtain the overseas scholarship. You can also go for the Nigerian award. You can also go for the Nigerian award scholarships. I had my first scholarship for Mobile Producing Nigeria Unlimited in 2005. It was a local scholarship award because I was in a federal institution here in Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Then there is this federal scholarships. Federal scholarship are also we have the BEE and we have the Nigerian awards. I applied for the Nigerian award at my master's level in 2013, and I got the Nigerian award, federal scholarship award, that is federal government scholarship for Nigeria. So you can go if you don't get the overseas scholarship, you can also go for the Nigerian award. Even PTDF, we have the overseas scholarship, we have the Nigerian award. I was also a scholar of the PTDF Nigerian award. So don't be left out. We can all do it. And also from our sisters from Germany, South Korea, and the rest. I'm very, very glad that you people are over there, and we hope to look for a postdoc, inshallah. Thank you.
Inshallah. Thank you very much for the closing remarks and the encouragement, especially Northern Arawa women who have families and think that they are unable to proceed. Thanks for the encouraging words that they can still do it irrespective, together with their family support and everybody around them. It's still possible. It's not impossible. So this is very much appreciated. I really appreciate this session because I learned so much from everybody. But before we move on to Q&A, I'd like to go to Dr. Kutiami to give us a closing remark, and then we'll answer a couple of questions. I know there are lots of questions, but I'm not sure we'll be able to have the time to go through all of them. But yes, Dr. Kutiami, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Hussaina, and thank you everyone for attending this webinar. Before I give my closing comments, I would like to say we're very sorry for the unintended intrusion of somebody. As you know, always there are people who don't want to see other people succeeding. It's obvious the person is a failure, and then the person wants to see that everyone has failed like him or her, and that is why the person did what they did. So we're really sorry for that, and we will take measures to prevent it next time. So to start with, I would like to start by saying thank you to Hussaina. I know you are very committed. For those of you who didn't know, Hussaina has been part of Gamji Educational and Mentorship Forum from day one when we started this. And she has been very, very important member of this forum and has contributed in so many ways. So thank you so much. I know you were sick, but still you took your time to run this session wonderfully. We really appreciate that. And to our special guest, we really want to thank you, Hajia Dr. Mariam Abdullahi. We know with your commitment, it's not easy for you to give us time and then speak to the participants and to all of us, even those of us that we have already finished our studies. That is a great motivation. So we really thank you for this opportunity, and we look forward to getting you again another time to speak on another topic. And to our discussants, starting from Tayyiba, we have Zainab Umar from Australia, we have Khadija from USA, we have another Khadija from Germany, we have Kulsum from Saudi, and then Zainab from China, and then finally Zaitun from Nigeria. We really, really thank you. I know all of you have a lot of things to say, but due to the time factor, we are not able to get everything today. And just to remind our audience, today is not merely about going into the detail of scholarship application, but rather to enlighten our women, particularly about the possibility that there are opportunities and there are people who are successful already. So that is the aim of today's session, and we will try to get these discussants at some point to either give a live video on detailed application process or even to get them on another live webinar. So please, all of you, the discussant today, you are highly welcome to join us as mentors in Gamgee Educational and Mentorship Forum. And as I have said, we will really like to go deeper into the opportunities in your country so that we can help as many people as possible in Nigeria. And to all the participants today, I'm sure all of you have benefited from one or two things that came on during this discussion. As I said, we know you have so many questions. So our email for Gamgee is in the chat. You can send questions there, and we will see if we can link you up with the person that you want to send your specific question to. And now we only have about 15 minutes, which, of course, if you want to leave, it's okay. But Usaina will get into some questions, more important questions or a few questions for now, and then other questions will be answered by sending us email. And we will be uploading this video in our YouTube channel as well, and our Gamgee site on Facebook. So you can also post questions, and we will be very happy to help you. So on behalf of Gamgee Educational and Mentorship Forum, I want to say thank you so much once again. You can stay back for a few questions and answers if you can. Over to you, Sen.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Tutiami, for closing off very well. I will proceed to the Q&A. So I can see some hands that are raised in the queue. So I will call upon maybe from the order that I can see for a couple of people to speak, maybe one or two, and then we will pick maybe 3 or 4 questions in the comment section and try to wrap up in 15 minutes. If your questions are not answered here, do not worry at all. You can reach out to Gamgee Educational Forum on Facebook or other social media that they've dropped below, so that we could directly get back to you and your questions. So the first on the list I can see is Ms. Hassana Ojochide. You can unmute yourself and ask your questions. Hopefully, if you're directing your question to one of our speakers, they'll be here to respond to you.
Hello, good morning. Sorry, good afternoon from here. Thank you so much for this wonderful and very informative webinar. My question is, I just got admitted to Federation University in Australia for my PhD program, but without a scholarship. So what are the funding opportunities I can have? Because I don't want this admission to just slide me off. Please, do you know any funding opportunities I can apply to help me fund my PhD in Australia?
Probably I will respond to this, unless Zainab Omar, you want to respond or you want me to?
Tutiami, you can go ahead.
So, sorry, the person who asked this question, yeah, of course, I am in Australia at the moment, so I will need to have discussion with you so that because it's kind of a long process to meet your specific needs. So just get in touch through the email, and then I will get to speak to you in person so that we can discuss in detail. Is
All
that
right,
okay?
thank you so much. Through the email you sent on the chat box.
Yes, yes. Just send and just put Chutiami, put my name there so that it will be directed to me, and then I will get in touch with you and we will
Please,
speak
what
about
is
it.
your name? What is your name, please? Sorry.
It's Muhammad Chutiami. Muhammad
Okay.
Chutiami. You can even
Okay.
see me on Facebook. CHUTIYAMI. So if you even send me a message, I will get in touch with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries. How about you, Hussein?
Thank you, Dr. Chutiami, for covering that. So next, I will call upon Abba Mohammed to ask his question, and then I will go to the comments to check for questions. So Abba Mohammed, the floor is yours. Okay, so Abba Mohammed is not unmuting, so I will move on.
Okay, hello.
Okay, hello. Yes, we can hear
Sorry.
you now. No
Please, can you
problem.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
This my question goes directly to Toiba from South Korea. Please, what I wanted to ask you is that, like in case of applying for a partial scholarship, like, is it very rare, like, to apply for that very scholarship, and then after you go to Korea, like, is it possible to secure a job that will like help you cover up your the cost of your study? I don't know if you get the question right.
Hello. So your question is, after getting to Korea through a scholarship, and then you try to get a job to finance your study?
Like, exactly, like partial scholarship.
Partial scholarship. Well, I would say it depends on your major and your city, actually. If you are opportune to get a scholarship to partially to study in Seoul, for instance, there you don't necessarily have to, you won't have much problem getting a job, in the sense that as a student on the student visa in South Korea, you are allowed to get a permit for part-time job. But I always tell people that that is based on lots of requirements. For instance, you are expected to be able to speak Korean language up to a certain extent. So if you're not in Seoul, this is going to be a problem for you, in the sense that if you can't get the permit because you cannot speak Korean language, then that means you are going to be working illegally. And if you're caught doing that, then you can be penalized. But if you're in Seoul, I feel most Seoul universities are open to approving a permit even without language proficiency, because there are a lot of enterprises in Seoul where you can actually use your knowledge of English language to work, like cafes, and then there are a lot of tourists in Seoul. But for example, in my city in Daegu, it's very hard for you to get a job in a cafe where you will not be required to speak Korean language. You understand me? So it's not impossible, but it will be difficult. That's the
So the
summary.
major
Yes.
requirement is the language for you to
Proficiency.
learn the language. Yeah, the language proficiency. That's the major requirement to secure that part-time
That's
job,
the
right?
major. Other requirement, you already have it. That will be the number of hours, permission from your advisor, and your experience in working in that area or something. But if you are saying that you want to work with restaurants or cafes, you don't need experience for that to wait tables, right? You just need to show. Yeah. So I would say all is based on actually asking the right questions too. Most schools, if you apply and you are getting partial funding, you have the opportunity to ask questions like this. So individual experiences might not work. In my case, now I didn't study in Seoul. I've studied in Daegu all through my 4-year stay in Korea. So I can't really say about the job market there, about how easy it is to get the job and all that. But in Daegu, it's very hard to get a permit without Korean language proficiency.
Okay, well, I'll get you right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that response, Toiba. I hope you got the answer that you needed, Abba.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So I'm going through the comments and I am seeing a couple of questions. So another one, okay, I'll try to go for questions. Okay, so there are a couple of questions that are addressed to Toiba about scholarship in South Korea. But since Toiba just spoke, I will try to go to questions that are for other speakers. Let's see. So one question is go to Mrs. Umar Kulthum Lawal. The question is that they would like to study in Saudi Arabia and would like to get a scholarship. Like, any guide on this?
I think I will take this. It's regarding Saudi Arabia, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes. Okay. What I would say is the Saudis, like, they are one of the things they look for first if you're applying for a scholarship in Saudi or anywhere in the Middle East is your GPA. So before you even apply to anything, make sure that your GPA is very high. So even though there are rare cases where they can take 2-1, but your 2-1 has to be like 4.4 something. But recently, I've not even seen anyone that they've taken with 2-1. Usually, if you want a sure bet, make sure you have a first class. Then secondly, there's the English language proficiency exam. Even though there are schools that will allow you to come and then you submit your English proficiency later on. But recently there has been changes in the system. Some schools will not even allow you to come unless you have the IELTS. For example, like Khalifa University, or okay, since it's mostly about Saudi, but like King Abdulaziz University and King Fahd University, that is the ones that people usually come because they're the ones that offer courses in English language. You can come and then have the IELTS here, but it must be within your first semester. But it's more required for you to take your IELTS before you come, preferably. And then you will need the recommendation, your transcripts. And recently, like, because the competition is more intense now, so other activities like volunteering, involvement in other activities, and also with regards to job experiences, like professional experiences. So these are things that will give you a heads up, because recently, like, the quota of Nigerians being accepted is getting low because they are diversifying Saudi Arabia to be bringing people from other nationalities that were not here before. So these are the things that I would give you, and also make sure your statement of purpose is clear, good, and you have an intentional research area of interest.
Okay, thank you for that response. I hope that the person who asked this question, that this response is satisfactory. Thank you very much. So I will go to one more question and maybe back to the queue and ask a random person to unmute themselves. Sorry that we cannot go through everybody, but I'll go to the most recent question here. So the question is to Khadijat Adele. This person is asking that they got a scholarship, I believe, okay, an admission to your university, and they've obtained their visa and they are going next month. So I'd like to learn about the accommodation there, like what it's like. So if you can give us a brief response to this question. But this is quite specific, since it's related to accommodation, but you can touch upon it. Hello, Khadijat Adeyele, are you still with us? Okay, since Khadijat is not currently responding, I will go to the queue. So for people that I can see their hands are raised, I will go to Adama Khadija. You can unmute your mic and ask your question. This will be our last question for today.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Adama Khadija Tawonka. I want to ask concerning the South Korean scholarship, because when I check, the deadline has gone. So I don't know if they have another scholarship apart from that. And also the organizers of this webinar, thanks to you all. And I really want you to share your email address. Like for me, I'm seeking for a scholarship. I applied for CSC scholarship. Unfortunately, I was not shortlisted. I was given the pre-admission, waiting for the final. They said I did not pass the review process. And I made to understand that they did not take enough people in that university. So they said if I should accept the school scholarship, and that has to do with only 1 year's tuition fees. And China, you are not working. China, you don't have to work. If they cut you, they will deport you to your country. So I'm pleading to anyone that has scholarship currently, that know any scholarship link, can please help me. I will send my email address so that I can try and apply. And I thank all of you, the moderators and the participants that are giving us more knowledge on applying on scholarship. So this is my pledge. Thank you so much.
Hello, Zena. Can you please let me chip in to quickly answer this question? I'm currently in China doing a postdoctoral study. Can I just chip in? Sorry for chipping. My name is Dr. Samuel Osman. I am a postdoctoral fellow here in Nigeria University in China. Actually, what I would suggest to her, since she has 1 year scholarship, it's better she accept that 1 year. She come over to China since it is a university scholarship. When she is here, there are a lot of opportunities. She can apply to another scholarship, maybe CSC or other scholarship. Subsequently, I move to that school. It is okay. Then she can start afresh in another school. Because being her here, more opportunity for her. And more, she can understand better on how to apply on different scholarships that are available here in China. I don't know if that answers our question.
I was not getting you clear, the mic.
Oh, can you hear me well now? I'm suggesting that you accept the 1 year scholarship and come over. When you come over, then within this 1 year, you will be applying for other scholarship, because when you are here, there are so many opportunities, especially scholarship opportunities. Then you'll be applying for other scholarship to start afresh subsequently. Because it's better that when you are here, it's easier for you to see so many opportunities to understand how it works and everything. So while you are using your 1 year scholarship, you apply for others. Then by the time after that 1 year, you just move from that school to your new scholarship when you scared one. I think that it will be better. Then you stay in Nigeria.
Okay.
If you understand.
Okay, you are trying to say that I have, like, I'm currently in China. I have scholarship last year. It was 1 year. So I applied for another scholarship. I did not get it. Okay. So I'm just thinking about the financial issue and all that. So I want to return back because I have a MOFCON scholarship. I have to return back. So that's why. And the financial issue is not easy.
Okay. I understand the issue. I understand. You actually did that. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Is it undergraduate or postgraduate?
Maybe, sorry to say, Samaila, maybe if she can get in touch with you, since you guys are all in China, considering the time, and then you can discuss in detail, if that's okay.
You can send me your email address through the chat. I will
Yeah,
take it.
Or maybe because of the, in case if you don't send it, just send email into our Gamji email that was shared in the chat and put Samaila, and then we will make sure we link you up with him.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Sena, I think can be concluded.
Can you please send your email? I'm trying to look for it. I did not see.
Our email?
Yeah.
Okay, look, Samaila has shared his email already, so just take it.
Okay.
Just check the chat.
Yes,
Samaila has sent it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you everybody for your questions. This brings us to the end of this webinar. I want to thank our special guests and all our speakers, from Khadijat Adele, Zainab Umar Abdullahi, Khadija Ibrahim, Umar Kulthum Ulawal, Zainab Umar Dawaki, Toiba Atibola, and Zaitun Bakabe, including Dr. Tutiani as well. And so I didn't know what to expect, but I was looking forward. But even I myself got very motivated and took a couple of lessons. So this was a very, very insightful session, and I hope for more of these. And for those that were unable to respond to your questions, you can reach out to us on our Facebook and somebody will get back to you, as soon as we can. So because we are short of time, that's why we haven't been able to go through all the questions. If we had more time, we would have been able to respond to most of you, but hopefully the response for other questions was also able to answer yours. So thank you. And this brings us to the end of the webinar. I hope you all have a good rest of your day and wishing you all the best in the next week. So bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.